Hey folks, this is Trask Nari, back again with more D&D Recap. When we last left our heroes, they had just fended off some rats and had gone down a corridor leading to a door. Um, right away, they decided to try and be stealthy as per usual and spend about 30 minutes trying to sneak in. And finally, first, the sword that, for the record, can only be heard in Phoenix's mind, tells him to go barge in. So he and the dwarf both burst in behind the assassin and the rogue. For the record, the party is Ramoth, the dwarf cleric, Phoenix, the dragonborn paladin who carries the sentient sword named First, Lucan, the elf rogue, Vis, the Deva wizard, Regdar, the human assassin, and I'm pretty sure that's everybody. So anyway, so they boot the door in and combat starts. The room is dark and filled with smaller rooms inside with like cells that are that are kind of encompassed or made up of 15-foot high walls. As soon as combat starts, they're rushed by a bunch of zombies and skeletons. And this, for the record, this session included some of the most amazing strings of critical failures I've ever seen, including the dwarf trying to cast Gaze of Defiance, where he kind of challenges an enemy with psychic damage by glaring at him, and he crit fails so hard that his face catches on fire. Or when Phoenix swung his sword and failed so much that he knocked himself unconscious. But anyway, I don't remember exactly when those happened. The party kind of, and because of the way the smaller rooms are set up, it's kind of like a labyrinth. So the party splits itself up a little bit, as the room is designed to make them do, as they are attacked from three sides. Regdar is immediately like set upon by a zombie who continually grabs him, and he keeps trying to break free. In fact, on one of the break free grabs, he rolls a critical on his strength check, and as a rule with zombies, any critical made on them causes them to die instantly. So he kind of just Regdar throws his arms out and breaks the zombie's arms off and kills it. So the enemies in this encounter were zombies and skeletons, and the party was getting wrecked this encounter. The paladin got bloodied, quite bloodied, because of because as they entered, First warned him in his head, "Look out from above." And sure enough, a decrepit wizard called a Deathlock White dropped down from the ceiling and landed on one of the walls and began hitting them with some beastly spells. As they're fighting off these skeletons, they managed to kill off one that was directly combating Phoenix, and when they fight, they managed to kill him. And the Deathlock leaps over and gets close to him and casts a resurrection spell, bringing back the skeleton, who proceeds to just hammer Phoenix into oblivion to the point where he's barely standing. Also, Ramoth had contracted filth fever earlier from some were-rats, and now he had progressed to the point in the disease where he had horrible defenses, which is bad for a battle cleric, so he kind of had to sit out for most of this fight so he didn't get his ass handed to him. Regdar decided to try and climb up on the wall to combat the White. So he climbs up the wall, but barely makes it, so he actually used up his standard and his move action to climb up. And so he can't do anything for that turn. And once he gets up there, the White uses a spell called Horrifying Visage, where he blasts the target back with fear psychic damage. And so he uses this on Regdar and sends him careening off and causes him to take massive damage from sending him flying off of a 15-foot wall, dealing psychic damage, knocking him against a wall and having him hit the ground. So Regdar is bloodied almost to the point of death, or at least unconsciousness, and they manage to continue fighting, getting very rocked very hard, primarily because this is the room is set up to divide the party. Lucan climbs on top of a different set of walls and fires a poisoned arrow. And as a rule, undead are immune to poison, but this one happened to not be. The poison, by the way, she took from the corpse of the changeling they fought earlier. So they fire off an arrow at. She fires off an arrow and deals massive damage. I apologize if I'm calling Lucan by a female because the player is female. I'll try to avoid doing that. Anyway, Lucan fires an arrow and just hits the white in the center mass, dealing massive damage. And actually, right before this, I forgot the white had critically failed and blinded himself. So he was blind, taking ongoing poison damage, knocked off of the thing, and smashed to the ground and very hurt. And as soon as this happens, Phoenix runs up and blows the first daily ability, which is to deal extra fire damage on a hit, and he just annihilates. He slashes the white so he's almost dead. And the white's turn comes, and he instantly takes 10 ongoing damage, which kills him. They proceed to search the room, and find Lucan found a very nice magic longbow called the Duelist's Bow, and Lucan was very thrilled about this because Lucan was the only person in the party not to have a magic weapon at this point. And they also found a bunch of books, and they barely managed to roll their perception check and avoid a trap which would have set the wizard's face on fire. So they actually spend a long period of time in the room, like removing every single trap. So that I gave them some XP just for having that kind of patience. Then they proceed down out of that room and down a hallway where it leads two different ways. One continues forward to a door, or they can drop down into the canals, which were the canal was 5 feet deep, but at this point the water was only up to about their shins or their knees. So they go ahead and drop down and go south from there and just ignore the other door, which, to be fair, was a dead end. They continue down and run into a room, which had a bunch of canals and raised areas, and they managed to roll high enough on their perception, and I rolled poorly enough on their stealth. They detect a bunch of bone piles that they know are they suspect to be skeletons. So immediately Lucan just fires an arrow into one of them, and combat starts, and they start trying to fight off all the skeletons, including some epic moments where a skeleton gets repeatedly jackhammered into a wall by Vise. But the main kicker of this was a wraith who was kind of the hive mind of all the skeletons, commanding all of them. And for those of you who don't know, wraiths are specifically very good at dealing massive debilitating damage. So the white plus a bunch of skeletons ganged up on Phoenix and started beating him up. And he was almost dead when he made the stupid mistake of using his Dragon's Breath ability, which is lightning based, as he was wearing metal armor and standing in water. Needless to say, he kills the skeleton in front of him, but electrocutes him so badly he falls into unconsciousness. And when he gets up, he falls into unconsciousness and then suddenly stands up and starts speaking to the rest of the party. Is mostly busy trying to finish off his last skeleton. But oh, that's right, the wraith didn't. The wraith was still alive at this point. And no, actually, I believe it was one of the skeletons was still alive. Anyway, he stands up and swings the sword and just kills it with 20 damage. And the only person who wasn't in combat at that or actively fighting at that moment was Regdar, who had finished off the wraith, I believe. I forget who finished off, but at any rate, he was standing right next to Phoenix, and Phoenix starts speaking in a voice that Regdar doesn't recognize. And when Regdar asks, like, "Are you feeling okay, Phoenix?" Phoenix basically says, "Sorry, Phoenix ain't here right now." And for the record, the players kind of figured out that it was First who had kind of taken over the body of Phoenix, but at that moment, only Regdar was speaking to him, and he made it very clear. First made it very clear he wasn't trying to hide the fact that he wasn't Phoenix, but that's where we ended because the other players had to leave. So they finished off all the encounters, and next time we'll begin. We will continue with the odd occurrence of First having decided to kind of take the helm of Phoenix's body. Don't know when the next time we'll play is, but when we do, I'll be sure to give you guys an update. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys later.